So guys, back with you in the next part to the military history what ifs, and this one will be what if Stalingrad was a great success to Germany. So I'll give you a little anecdote on Stalingrad. So Operation Barbarossa was Germany's great, well, was going to be at the start, great Russian campaign, which was 22nd of June 1941, where they had pushed into Stalingrad, virtually decimated, Russia, was the invasion of Russia, totally decimated it. When they got into Stalingrad, the Russians had already basically planned a massive, massive fight to the death situation. So they were basically fighting around in all the bombed out brick buildings and everything. And so what they did was actually physically, say this was Stalingrad, the Germans were there, the Russians carried out encircled Stalingrad, so meaning encircling the Germans, trapping them, and kind of letting them starve over winter. Which mainly what it was like. Half of the German army virtually died from the -20, roughly -35 degrees cold temperature in Russia, guns frozen over, equipment frozen over, bodies frozen to death, literally frozen to death. That's what the German army was situating. But, so this was in 1942 then, but if, 1941, 1942, Stalingrad, and if Operation Barbarossa, and mainly Stalingrad and the harsh winter, didn't affect Germany, and what if Germany had a massive success on Stalingrad? Well, if they had a massive success over the Russians at Stalingrad, they would have been far, far, far tougher, and far more stronger, and far more kind of, courageous, to do far more daring acts, and they would literally be the Russia, the most powerful nation there is at that time, in Western Europe. But of course, as we know, Germany, the reason for their demoralizing state was because of Stalingrad. They got up to 1942, had Stalingrad, and kind of their whole Germany's military ethnical ethos really kind of blemished. They were so tired and so worn out after Stalingrad, it just depleted them really from a lot of resources. So if Germany had actually been successful at Stalingrad, their military determination would have gone up and been far more stronger for any foes. Just like in 1944 in Normandy, a lot of the time they were still, Germany was still strong, at that time, 1944, but they weren't as strong as when they were back in 1940-41, when they, captured France, and had the first kind of part of Operation Barbarossa. But when it was in Stalingrad, their forces, dwindled and diminished. A lot of their troops got a bit miserable, so a lot of the German armed forces basically mutilated really in Stalingrad. So so just a little cut long story short, if Germany had been successful at Stalingrad, they would have been far more determined, far more uplifting their troops. So that means Normandy wouldn't have been a big success. I know it was, thousands of lives did die, just like at Omaha Beach, but if Russia, of course, Russia, knowing now, Russia defeated a lot of their troops, were very out of breath, very diminishing. So that means Normandy, of course, was a success. So so basically, if Stalingrad was a great victory of the Germans, it will lift their spirits, and if it wasn't, which we know it wasn't, a lot of their spirits would be very down in the dumps. that means they would have got stronger if they had have actually, won at Stalingrad. So it's kind of from 1940 to 42, that was kind of the first part of the war. After 1942, Germany was diminished. So what I've got here is not a Second World War M1931 German Missile, but it is a 1950s copy of a German M1931 Missile. It's still a model 1931 Missile, but it's a 1950s copy. I have in my collection a Second World War German M31 Missile, but I mean this is kind of, this one, it's the closest. It's the one I first kind of saw and picked up to use in the video. But yeah, and this might actually have its own video in the future. So yeah, this is what Germany. Well, for example, in this video, it is a German Second World War Messton, which it isn't. But yeah, it's just the first thing I looked at, because my actual Second World War German arm Messton was in its place, really, in its collection. So yeah, that's what Germany had in the Second World War. Used to have a little band which came right around, go through there and came up in there. Second World War German armed Messings, like my other one, the actual one, has its date on the side. Could be, the manufacturer's code along there, and then 42 or something for the date. So you lift that up, and that's kind of your dish of that. Serve food or something out you eat out of, and this kind of you cook on. This part here got a little carry handle there. And another thing about Second World War German Messings is, if you're gonna find a Second World War, an actual Second World War one, is if you find one which has springs like that, don't buy it, because it's not. It's it's like that 50s copy. So yeah, and of course it will have along there the manufacturer's code and date. So that has been quite a little quick, well, not quick, another military what ifs, talk, and of course to to sum up, if Stalingrad was a big victory to the Germans, they would have, there wouldn't have been so many troops being demolished and kind of down in the dumps. That means a lot of their spirits would have been very high, and very, Germany would have been a far greater power than they were, in later Second World War years. But, as we know, Stalingrad was a bit of a failure to the Germans. That's why they got a bit down in the dumps, so the war might have changed, on Germany's behalf, after 1942, if Stalingrad was a success, which of course it wasn't. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys, have a good one, and see you next video.